Hey everybody, it's Jesse. I hope you're all doing well today. It's January of 22 and I wanted to talk with you today about the importance of reminders and examples. This is something that I've been thinking about lately, and that's why I wanted to share some of my thoughts with you, because this is how we learn and grow as individuals and people within our lives and within a broader cultural context. As members of our society, as people who are trying to accomplish more and greater things with our own lives, we have probably already heard most of the things that we need to know in order to adapt our behaviors, our social interactions, and our mindset to a more positive, productive, well adjusted life in a society of other people. And it is important for us to be reminded of that information, because sometimes it sort of gets dissipated and pushed to the back of our minds as we go through day-to-day life. We encounter stressors, we begin to focus more on the details of whatever happens to be in front of us at the time, and we stop thinking quite as actively about some of those guiding principles. So it's important to have those guiding principles brought back to the forefront of our daily thought patterns so that we will focus on them during the course of our daily lives as we encounter those stressors and the daily tasks that we must handle in the course of our lives. Furthermore, sometimes it's helpful to be reminded of information, even though we've already heard it before, because sometimes it becomes more relevant to the immediate situation, and being reminded of it at a certain time, we may begin to think of it in a way that we'd never thought of it before. Or sometimes we may hear information that we'd heard before, but we hear it in a new way. It's presented in a format that somehow makes it more accessible. Whichever way it is, sometimes we hear something we've heard many times before and it clicks. You know what I mean? Sometimes it clicks, and then we're able to act on that information in a new way and take it into our lives. Sometimes information that we've known and then sort of forgotten or misplaced or not thought about for a while, and then it's brought back into our consciousness and it clicks in a new way, and it really integrates itself into the way we live our lives and the way we think about ourselves. It becomes a part of our identity. So repetition builds identity, and the more we think about certain things, the more we become the way we think about those things. So that is part of why it's so important to focus our character building projects on our own mindset, because when we think about achieving success, we're more likely to achieve success. When we think about all these reasons why we can't achieve success, then we don't achieve success. This mindset component is so important, and repetition is what drives that message home. And repetition is what drives that message home. The repetition of these ideas keeps them in our minds, keeps us thinking about those concepts, those precepts, those deeply held core values that are important to us when we think about them. If we keep thinking about them, then they're important to us all the time. This is not merely true in your faith or my faith, whatever those faiths may happen to be. This is true for most of the faiths that I have ever heard of all around the world. People schedule religious observances once a week or in the evening at a certain time, or in the case of the Islamic world, they have the call to prayer sung by the muezzin at several times every day, 5 times every day. They are called to prayer and they stop whatever they're doing and observe prayer time. And this keeps their spirituality front of mind, completely at the forefront of their thoughts all the time. And imagine if you were to do this, not necessarily praying to a specific God, although you're welcome to do that if that feels relevant to you. But imagine if, whatever your faith, you took time every single day to focus on your goals and priorities, your deeply held core values, to meditate a little bit, clear your mind of other concerns, and really focus inward on that which matters most. Because I think most of us spend a lot of our daily thought energy thinking about things that are not what matters most. So that's why I think it's very important for us to relearn how to focus on our goals and priorities, because that's ultimately what matters to us. I think the lesson of the world faiths really drives this home, and you can learn from that and incorporate it into your own life practice. It is helpful for us to surround ourselves with messages of positivity, love, hope, compassion, forgiveness, because when we remind ourselves of these things all the time, it makes us more likely to embrace joy every moment and to let go of the little things that bother us. Because if we focus too long on the things that bother us, then everything starts to bother us and we become nasty, irritable people. You don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. So what we all have to do is remember not to be like that. But obviously it's never as simple as just, well, don't be like that then, because you have to replace those thoughts with something else, or else the negative thoughts are going to keep coming back. I think most of us have experienced this in the past. I know I sure have. If you don't replace the negative thoughts with something positive in their place, then you're going to have to keep dealing with the cycle of negative thoughts that swirl and swirl and swirl down and down, as I've discussed before in some of my other videos. So, in our case, we are going to replace those negative thoughts with thoughts of hope, joy, love, and comfort, whether you prefer to focus those thoughts on some sort of spiritual practice or higher power, or if you like to think about nature and the great outdoors, you like to think about your family. I know, do you have some of those friends who you go over to their house and their house is very tidy and they always seem like very together people, and there on their wall they have signs that talk about family and love and joy and peace. Those signs help them to be those kinds of people. So it's the constant reminder, having that message where you can see it all the time, reminding yourself constantly, this is who I want to be. These are my deeply held values. These are my core beliefs. And I'm going to keep moving forward with my life with these core beliefs. as my guiding principles. So it's good for us to surround ourselves with people like that, because when we see their good example, then we are more likely to emulate that example. A local church down the road from me has a sign out on their billboard this week. You know, they have the little sign that changes every week, and I often disagree with some of the messages that this particular church puts up on their little sign, but this week I completely, strongly agree. They are so right. Their sign this week says that a good example is worth twice the value of good advice. And it's so true, because it's easy to dispense good advice. We can sit around and tell other people what they should do all day long. But unless we can live by the advice that we give to other people, that advice is kind of worthless. It's just like in that old Beastie Boys song where the kid is complaining that his dad caught him smoking cigarettes and told him to stop. And he says, "That hypocrite smokes 2 packs a day." Why would you expect the kid to stop smoking if you're sitting there smoking in front of him? Right? Same goes for everything. People on social media telling other people to stop being so mean to each other, while the exact same people go around being mean to people. And they're like, well, but I have to be mean to that person because I disagree with them about politics, or they said something that was really offensive. And if you're going to make exceptions and excuses and keep being a bad person because you think someone else deserves to be treated badly, then you're not living up to the ideals that you're setting forth when you tell people to be nice to each other. If we're going to be nice to each other, then we be nice to each other. And we learn to ignore the trolls, the people who say things we disagree with. And maybe we might even learn to tolerate or have compassion for the people who intentionally try and needle us, because those people are not going away. I promise you this. Those people are going to keep coming back. So it's on us to learn to ignore and or have compassion for those people who are so broken in this moment that they have to go around spreading their torment on the rest of the world. They're going to keep coming back. So we all need to learn how to deal with that. And if you can set a good example by dealing with those types of people in your life in a healthy way, then you're setting a good example for all the people around you, including the person you're talking to, who's the person that needs it most. If you just snark at that person and treat them like crap and expect them to learn their lesson, the only lesson they're going to learn is how to treat people like crap. If you are able to forgive them, if you're able to show them what true universal love really looks like, then that person might actually learn something positive from you. Wouldn't that be nice? So let's all make a point of this. Let us all go out and make a point of setting a good example for the people around us, and be the embodiment of all your ideals. Be the embodiment of your core values. Be the embodiment of everything you hold dear. Show the world your shining light of good example, and people will follow. People will follow you. And won't that be great? So I look forward to it. I can't wait to see what a fantastic example you are going to set for the whole world. So, show me what a good example you can set. I can't wait to see. And I will be talking to you soon. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day.